So, like Kylie said, we are the Grand People D-Lab, and we were focusing on mental health of the elderly in the Treasure Valley. I'm Maxine.
I'm Georgia.
I'm Franny.
And I'm Tacit.
So for our problem, there were two main things that came up a lot in our research. The first was loneliness and isolation, because as people get older, their family tends to visit a lot less, and it's also much harder for elders to be social in general. The second was different forms of memory loss, such as dementia and Alzheimer's, which is very prevalent in the USA. Every 65 seconds, someone in the US develops Alzheimer's. So we asked ourselves how we could combine these ideas for a solution that would address both of them. That's how we came up with story sharing, because we thought it would give elders a chance to be social and also give them a sense of closure that their stories would be well preserved.
In the search for our end user, we started by looking at the general elderly population of Boise, but started eventually to focus on those in assisted living. We were looking for someone lonely with no visiting family because that's where we thought we could help out the most. But who we found was Virgil Catherine Doyle, a resident at Brookdale Assisted Living. Virgil isn't lonely per se, but she doesn't have any immediate family. She has visitors in the form of her niece and her niece's children, but we felt we could help share her story. So we ended up focusing our solution entirely on Virgil.
So, during our ideation and prototype phase, we came up with a lot of ideas, but there were some things that our team thought were very important to include in our final product. These were creating a really comfortable story sharing experience so that our end user felt really comfortable being open and vulnerable with us. We also wanted to create a really personalized preservation method for those stories, and we wanted to ask a lot of sense-centered questions, as in the 5 senses. They're really, really effective at evoking a lot of memories that might be getting lost due to memory loss or the effects of the aging brain. And we also wanted to give our end user a sense of closure. We wanted them to know that regardless of their family situation or their experiences with memory loss, their stories were going to be carried on and heard. So the 3 ideas that we took to Peeps on the Street were a sense-centered care package, or kind of a time capsule of our end user's life story, which would be like a compiled kind of box of artifacts that would have a lot of meaning to the person and be connected to the 5 senses. Maybe a recipe book for taste, or a list of songs for sound or hearing, and then they would be tied to the stories that go along with them and why they're important. Our second idea was connecting teens and the elderly to read, write, and share stories. And this would give the elderly the opportunity to be social as well as feel heard. And then our third and final idea, which got the most positive feedback on Peeps on the Street, was a short film that would kind of talk about our end user's life story. This ended up being great for Virgil due to her passion for film and theater, and it would allow her to be the star in her own movie.
So through the process of filming the documentary, we were quite successful. We filmed almost all of our interviews with Virgie and got a lot of interesting stories out of her. As we kind of got to know her better, she became a lot more open and vulnerable with us in the stories she was telling us, and that really showed through in all the topics we covered in the documentary shown on the screen. We feel the solution best fits our overall theme of mental health in the elderly because it relieves the stress that aging can evoke. Having those memories preserved allows people to find peace and closure, knowing that their stories will eventually be shared elsewhere after they pass.
For implementation, we want to focus on Virgil and all the stories that she's told us. So we are giving her a red carpet movie showing at the theater room in Brookdale, which is where the residents there watch all their movies. Her family will be invited along with the residents at Brookdale. We're also going to present Virgil with an Oscar award to highlight her experiences as an actress. And at the end, her family will receive a copy of the film so that they can hold on to those stories and always have them.
So we'd like to give a huge thanks to Jennifer Linja, the activities director at Brookdale Assisted Living. She was super helpful and supportive throughout the entire process and connected us with 2 wonderful ladies.
Thank you also to Brookdale resident Angie for being the first person we interviewed, setting us on the right path, and donating so much of her time.
And of course, a big thank you to Virgie for being such a good sport throughout the whole process and just being so open and vulnerable and just providing us with amazing stories.
So we will now present the trailer to the documentary, which will be out January 5th. And we will, so here it goes.
I mean, now, you've got to have world peace. I like people, and if I listen to their stories, and now you're listening to mine, I'm passing them along. Well, first of all, I'll say my full name is Virgil Catherine Doyle, which is a mouthful. But here, in most places, people call me Virgie, V-I-R-G-I-E, my nickname. It's just easier. We're handsome brother Chris. Fishing.
That's a big fish.
Yeah. Oh, you love the fishing here. There he is, Chrissy. Oh, I wish you were around to meet you. You would have enjoyed this enormously. And I always want the best for my students, and I want the best for you. Because one day you're the people who are going to go out running offices, maybe making scientific advancements. I hope I get to see it as long enough. But I want to give every new generation a chance. Like music. You just try to find out who you are. And adolescence is a tough time. You know, people expect so much of you. When you get older, you come to some understanding. But the older I get, the more comfortable I am with myself and others. They try to understand your parents, who try to raise you, try to do the right thing, because they're your parents, they with you.
So that is our